No Punches Pulled podcast, episode 3. Just got done watching UFC Dublin. Mixed results for the Irish tonight, Dean.
Yeah.
What do you think of Cottle?
Well, we actually called this, we're saying this maybe 2 years. Said from his last fight, from his previous fights, he's been hurt and dropped nearly in every fight.
Yeah.
You actually tweeted his coach, Sean Kavanagh, about this a while ago. I think it was to maybe cause a bit of havoc.
It was tongue in cheek at the time, but it was kind of a semi-serious question.
Genuine, yeah?
Yeah, it was just kind of like, would you not, as a coach, have a bit of concern for a fighter who's kind of getting dropped and rocked on a regular basis? Because I saw online after the fight was stopped, someone goes, that's a great result, because that's the first time Cottle's been stopped in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a misleading statistic. Like, they say like only two things lie.
Officially, yeah.
Liars and statistics, and that does, because Cottle, yeah, he might have been stopped in the last 5 years, but I would like to see a fight that he hasn't been dropped or badly hurting on the feet.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time before the UFC fed him a decent striker. I know he fought John Howard, but at the time, John Howard was out of shape in that fight and just wasn't. Yeah. And even when we were watching the fight, at times, to be honest, we said, I think Cottle actually, he moved the best I've ever seen him in the cage. He looked like he's really, really focused on striking. He was kind of lighter on his feet, and
he was landing kicks early on.
He was trying to be a little crafty.
Yeah.
But then when he got that clinch, when he initiated that first clinch, double underhooks, and he was deep on it, it just seemed like there was nothing there. Like, what was the game plan after that?
It was weird. Breeze just like threw him off. Now I know they're both big welterweights, but Breeze has looked like a very strong man, and I was surprised actually. But obviously that was his game. If he's going to look to clinch up, keep him off, break away, get in striking distance.
What do you think that Cottle's game plan was?
To not get knocked out.
Because to me, when I was watching it, it was like he wanted to initiate the clinch, and when he got there and he got deep on it, it was like he was kind of like lost for ideas. Now, obviously, Breeze isn't going to let him do anything.
Yeah.
You know, but it just, to me, it looked a little bit kind of, I don't know, he looked like he didn't know what he was going to do, or he had no kind of game plan. Obviously, Cottle's game plan, like most of the time, is to get in, double long hooks, get against the fence, drag someone down, get into like a dogfight. I just don't think it's going to work at the highest level.
No, conditioning and mental toughness, outworking and putting a pace on them as far as grappling goes, that's worked for him so far.
And the finish, like on the flip side, I mean, Breeze like looked unbelievable. His shot selection was really nice. Now, it's easy to look good in the feet against someone who is like, offering that kind of opposition. But the shot, the finish combination, like, it didn't show it at the end in the replays. They had like just the kind of hand combinations, but I think the front kick to the stomach,
definitely wrong.
I think that was game over once that landed. If you watch, once he lands that front kick to the stomach, Cottle he takes a step back, and you know yourself that feeling. It takes a split second. It's like a delayed reaction. Once that body shot hits, and then you go to take that breath in, and you realise there's nowhere for the wind to go.
Yeah, you're cooked then.
Yeah, I think it was game over.
I think it actually caught him on the liver as well. I think that's what did the damage, because you get hit right. It doesn't matter how tough you are, you're going down from a good body shot. Like.
So what's next for Cottle? Where do you think he'll go from here? Do you think the UFC will try and build him up, or?
I don't think so. He's not really marketable. Do you know what I mean? When he was on that run, he was 4-0 in the UFC, or another Irish guy coming up. But like people even who maybe aren't.
It seems to me like a lot of Irish fans are turning on him. Like if you look at social media or anything like that, it's always very negative under any of the posts. A lot of Irish fans are like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's embarrassing to watch, and they're coming out with all these.
That's what I was about to get into. Even like people who wouldn't be as well educated as like myself and you. Like we've trained before for years. It's like even these people who they're only kind of new with MMA, and they're already saying, oh, he's such a bad striker, and they're not wrong.
No,
because he is a bad striker. But I could never wrap my head around it. We've talked about this before. He's high level training for God knows how many years now. He's worked with a boxing coach that we've worked with, Steve. How can he not grasp his striking? I just don't get it.
And to me, what's even
strange? He's an athletic guy. He's young. He's intelligent.
Like even before he started competing in MMA, he was playing rugby at a decent level.
Yeah.
So he's obviously got a good base of athleticism. Like he should be able to pick up striking or whatever he turns his hand to. It just isn't his thing.
No.
But like that, he got into his favour, and then in the fight, like striking, like out of the equation, he got into where he wanted to be. He wanted to be, in the clinch, initiating the clinch, driving him against the fence, trying to go for that takedown. And he just looked like he had nothing there. Yeah. Same against John Howard. Anytime he initiated the clinch, there was nothing there. So it's kind of like, where does Cottle go from here? Like, does he want to make a career on being like fighting mid-level guys, and he wins split decisions by just being tougher?
Grinding out decisions, like
I just think long term that's not going to be very good for your health. Do you know what I mean? Taking that kind of punishment. So it'll be interesting to see what the UFC want to do with him. Also what John Kavanagh wants to do with him, as a coach. Outside that, Aisling Daly had a great result. She fought really well.
It was a good fight. She came out strong out of the back. She looked fired up. She looked very fired up at the weigh-in. She was like, it was a very grateful thing. She's like, oh, thank you for everyone coming. I'm so happy to be here. It's like she's really enjoying the moment. And I think that's great to see. not a lot of fighters to kind of live in the moment. They're always thinking about 3 fights down the line or the next fight.
It was all about the event.
All about the big event. All the fans are out. The Irish fans are fucking crazy. Everyone's here. We're having a good time, supporting our own. I think I'm fair play to her. You know, I like to see Irish people do well.
She looked great, and she came on strong as well as the fight. Like in the later stages of fighting the third round, she looked perfectly content to stand up in guard and kind of just ground.
And she put a bit of a beating on the Brazilian.
Yeah,
can't remember her
name. She was just like, didn't look like she was too interested in passing or anything like that. She wanted to just like
beat her up, yeah. Mm-hmm. But she came out first round and just came out with like a big right hook, kind of turned it into a little bit of an
emotion.
And she was fired up. Like she came out, she was slogging punches, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good fight. Then the pace kind of slowed a bit down, but yeah, dominating performance from Ashley.
Great win. Neil Seary as well.
Got the 50k.
Yeah, great for him to get the bonus and a great submission win. He's another guy though. I think like as I watch him, I think he can go a little bit further.
Than he thinks.
In comparison to Cottle, but you know, to me when you're watching him, he's good hands, great boxing, but it's straight down the line and it's like the big clubbing shots. And although they are clever and crafty, I just think he's looking for that knockout a lot of times. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like he sets it up enough well. Like, so it was a little bit predictable, you know, and it was a little bit clumsy sometimes inside.
Yeah,
it was a good fight though, great win. And
he's
very diverse though. I love that. Like, you know, he's like people push him as his boxer, but anytime he's hit the ground in the UFC, even against Smoker when they fought, Smoker's a phenomenal grappler.
Yeah,
like, Neil's game.
He's crafty.
Yeah.
Mate, his game is crafty.
Like even when he's on his back, he's constantly throwing up arm bars, and every time someone goes for a takedown, he's always digging that guillotine, which he got in the end.
Yeah.
So it was a great win for Neil.
That was his third attempt he got on tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then moving on to the main event,
grappling mania, grappling fest, Paddy and Smoker,
straight out of the ADCC. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'd say the Gracies had a great time watching that fight. They do a breakdown tomorrow now. Be all over. Good fight, yeah. We said that before. 2 good lads coming up. Both have a grappling background. Interesting fight. I think Smoker had a little bit more on the feet. That little edge.
Do you know
I think the thing that decided the fight was Smoker was kind of landing the shots on the feet and kind of hurting Paddy in the exchanges, and then they were both obviously nullifying each other's grappling, and then Smoker was kind of landing a bit more ground and pound.
That's what I was going to say. It's interesting you should say that, because I thought they got kind of into, it was like, you know, like, I'm not going to say a sparring mentality.
Let's play jiu-jitsu.
But it was like, let's play jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And even when Paddy was in position sometimes to maybe ground and pound or throw a couple of shots into advanced position, he was kind of going, no, I'm going to keep playing jiu-jitsu. We have this kind of... But then with Smoke got into dominant position, and you saw by the finish in the end of it, he started throwing some heavy shots and ground and pound, and obviously got W via choke or a naked choke. Tough again. You can
tell though, Paddy was worn down from the shots to ground and pound. Like,
I think he got a little bit in the back up as well. Like, he came out very hot and heavy, and he was like, it was a very fast-paced fight, especially on the ground. You know yourself, to move around, to try and move around that level on the ground with someone, you know, you're going to get tired very quickly.
Yeah.
On the feet as well, he looked a little bit
edgy.
Yeah, he looked edgy, you know, a little bit nervous. When Paddy comes to fight, you know what I mean? He was throwing heat. Even when I think at a stage when he was stunned as well, like he was like, right, if I'm going out, I'm going out swinging. You know what I mean? I'm going to bite down on that gum shield, I'm going to throw hands. You have to respect the guy who does that.
Yeah, fair play to him. No, I like Paddy. I've seen Paddy fight for years now. I've seen him his live shows as like Cage Contender. It's a bit now of a shock that he got the main event, obviously, with the pullouts. I think it was a little bit too soon for him. I think he was like, he was only kind of thinking to himself, oh, well, I've got main event slot now. Like, I think that got to him a little bit.
I think
the emotions, the adrenaline.
I think there's something about Paddy though. I think there's something a little bit different about him. When we were discussing this, like, I don't know, sometimes it feels like with Cottle and Ashton Daly and that, it just seems like it's an SBG kind of bandwagon. And obviously Paddy is on that as well. But to me, I don't know, from the outside, it just looks like Paddy's kind of paddling his own canoe a little bit as well. It does. It just looks like he's doing his own thing. Like he's got a different way of going on, and he's got a different kind of way of carrying himself, and he's got his own image. Do you know what I mean? Where everyone else kind of seems to be, you know, doing like a mini McGregor on it.
Yeah.
You know, it just looks like Paddy's like his own man, and I respect that.
Yeah, he's always kind of had his own personality though, Paddy.
I think he'll do things in the sport. Even if he doesn't go like, you know, win a title, I think he's always going to be relevant, and he's game.
He's 27 now. He's shown that he can compete at the top level. You know? Like, it wasn't that Smoker dominated. That was a great fight up to then.
I think there's big things in it for Smoker as well. I think he can go far.
That guy's a stud, man. 24. He's
some of them grappling exchange, and you even seen it in the Neil Seary fight. Like, it's not only his jiu-jitsu, like his wrestling is very good.
Yeah.
Even a couple of the switches he was hitting on Paddy on the ground, like, beautiful.
And his striking looked pretty good.
Yeah.
It looked nice and crisp. Like, I know it was still pretty basic, but it looked good. Like, he was landing the shots he was throwing.
And what did you think of the event overall?
It was good.
Good that sold out as well.
Well, I knew it would sell it.
Yeah.
Like, people were saying online, oh, there's tickets back on Ticketmaster. It's like, I knew it was going to sell it. Like, we decided not to go in the end because I've been going to shows for a long time. Since back in 2010, that was my first fight. It was actually the first Irish event I went to, the Rumble and Rush. 2010, you were there. Like, that's over 5 years ago now. I've been going to events a long time. So I wouldn't be kind of these who jump on the bandwagon for the UFC. Obviously, it's great that they're coming here now more regularly with the popularity of McGregor and stuff. But like, at the end of the day, I'd much rather go to, say, like a Battle Zone or a local show, pay €30 for a ticket.
Into grassroots.
And see, because then you're supporting where these guys came from. Like, every fighter on the card, I actually seen live at a show before the UFC.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that. And that's just because I've been around the sport a long time, you know what I mean? But, no, to be honest, I didn't think it was worth paying the 130 or 140 euro.
Well, because that's the thing.
I support the event, and I think it's great that UFC, and I'd like to see them come back. But for me, financially, it wasn't viable to go.
I think it was a sour note how it ended. Like, if you look at last year when McGregor headlined, I was at that event.
Well, I didn't go last year either.
When he won, like, he was crazy. The atmosphere was phenomenal, and people, it was like this real joyous occasion because all the Irish guys had got the results. To me, kind of, because a couple of the Irish guys lost, then towards the end, and then when Paddy lost, like there was instances like kind of drink being thrown into the crowd, into the cage from the crowd, and it's just that kind of puts a sour note on it. Like, you know, that's kind of like a sing when you're winning kind of thing. Like, obviously, it only takes one or two people. Only takes one or two people to spoil it for everyone else. Like, so, and these are the guys who are just coming on. To be honest, I would say these are the guys just coming on the McGregor bandwagon.
Oh, definitely.
Because
there's a lot of UFC fans.
You won't get away with that at a local show in Ireland. Do you know what I mean? So you shouldn't get away with it in the UFC. No. On the whole, that was a good event.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So hopefully they get back soon enough. I'd like if they brought back I'd like if they pushed a full promotion into Ireland, kind of like they did with Rich Franklin. Yeah, like Rich Franklin and Dan Henderson back in the day, and like show one of Mark Coleman as a co-main event. Like, people would lap it up, and then throw the Irish guys on underneath that. Yeah. You know, or what's to say that Paddy Houlihan couldn't be a co-main event now, or to be, you know, high up on the card, or if they brought McGregor back into the stadium show or whatever.
I think the big thing now though with them, because they're so saturated and doing so many events, the fight nights, all the fight pass stuff, the numbered events, they know that's the big revenue, that's the big pay-per-view. It's like we even were talking about before, how we don't think that they'll put Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor on the same card. Because it's like, why would you do two pay-per-views that would generate, say, close to $1 million each, or maybe over $1 million with Ronda, because she takes in big numbers. Or put them both on it and maybe get, say, 1.5 million. Well, that's not really that much extra, do you know what I mean? You'd rather nearly $1 million for both. So I can see it from a business standpoint, but yeah, I'd like to see a numbered event in Ireland, or even England again. They haven't done one in England in a long time.
No, but the buzz has kind of died down in England a little bit, really, hasn't it? Like, it was really hot when Dan Hardy was coming through, and Michael Bisping was on top of the game, and like Ross Pearson coming through, and you know, a few others. But no, they will come back. And then Michael Bisping he was on the show, but he's undergone surgery on his elbow.
He was meant to fight on the Melbourne card, wasn't it, with Ronda? But I think that was the fight, wasn't it? Him and what's his name?
I'm not entirely sure.
It's not, who's
either way, either way, I'd like to see a show in England. I travel, do you know what I mean? Or even to Scotland. It was good there in Scotland, but it just seems like they're kind of giving us gimme cards. Like, here's all the fighters, you know, who are from Ireland, from Scotland, and kind of throwing them in there. Where, you know, we're MMA fans, we're UFC fans as well. I wouldn't, like, bring the big guns over.
I don't though. I think if they're only sticking to the 3 arena, like, obviously if they're going to do a big stadium, it'd have to be McGregor fighting. Yeah. But as far as the 3 arena, I think they're going to sell out every time, no matter who's fighting. Yeah. It's UFC, like, people want to go to it. But I think everyone, like all these so-called UFC fans, they need to start going to the grassroots shows.
Definitely.
Go to like the Battle Zones, the I can't even think now the other ones. What other ones is wrong?
Yeah, like the Rumble and Rush.
If that's still going, I don't know. Hopefully, if that gets running up, I like to fight in that again myself.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that. Like, you think back to 2010. It's mad that you would even say, like, you know, 2010 Rumble.
It seems like ages ago now.
Yeah.
Because when we got into MMA, like say 2009, that's kind of when we got into the scene as well. I fought then, as you were saying, 2010. And back then, it was like, we didn't know anyone who knew about it. Maybe one or two other guys in school who would watch the UFC.
But it's crazy, like, you were a pup back then. And you were like, to all intents and purposes, before your first fight, like, you were marshalling your own training camp.
Yeah, I was running the whole camp.
You were like running the show yourself. Like, it was like, I'm going to do my kickboxing here, I'm going to do my jiu-jitsu here, I'm going to do this there.
Yeah, like a lot of it would have been based out. I trained in Raw Gym in town. Raw Condition Gym. It's a great old gym. We must go back in for a second. We were saying that years.
Yeah,
but, yeah, like I would do a friend of mine, Mark, he'd do me pads and strength and condition stuff. Steve would do me boxing, and then I actually started jiu-jitsu. Well, funny enough, I started jiu-jitsu in Team Rhino back when I was SPG Northside in Baldoyle. That would have been in 2008, I think it was. I did, like, say, a beginner course. It was running. I think Liam O'Toole was running. He's a black belt now. He was only a blue belt back then, which is a mad contrast. Like, he's black belt now. He's a beast. He was a beast back then. That's where I started jiu-jitsu, and yeah, getting into that. Raw was like everything I go there. I actually start going there with like a kung fu. I used to do kung fu with Yang, and like that he got in there, so we started doing. And then I made all these contacts through there, and then I was really interested in MMA. Like
it was natural progression.
2009, yeah. Well, it is ultimate fighting. Like it's the ultimate proving ground. If you're a martial artist and you want to challenge yourself, you can do kickboxing, you can do these grappling tournaments, you can do whatever, karate. If that's your thing, fair play to you.
And more power
but
to you.
the ultimate, the closest thing to it, like say a street fight
in a controlled environment.
Is mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And like I first competed would have been the MMA league. I think that was May 2009. That would have been a good experience overall. But again, with limited rules, it was mainly only grappling. Do you know what I mean? I think there were 1 5-minute rounds, and if it goes the distance, it's just called a draw. So my first fight was a draw, and then I actually fought the same guy in the second fight, and I was like, right, the first fight went to a draw. This guy's getting finished, and I won by armbar then the second one. But with the limited rules, there was not really striking. Like I would have been more of a striker back then. I'd only done a touch on jiu-jitsu.
The MMA leagues they're still going.
I don't know if they're still going. I'm not even too sure now, to be honest.
Because I know a lot of people are kind of like, if
I know
you're
there's
running a jiu-jitsu league, there's no point in just putting in no headshots and shots to the body of punches. Because I know when I did the MMA leagues, like it was difficult. Because when I went in, and the guy, I can't even remember his name, but again, it was the same rules you were working on there, but it was just, there's no point in having striking if there's no headshots. Because basically you can have two guys just walk up to each other and start taking shots to the body.
But that's what it was.
And that's what happened. And because I only got disqualified, because I'm so comfortable, like I was so used to it. Do you know if you throw like a combination of the body, you naturally start to come up for a hook. Yeah. You know, naturally, it's just instinctual. And then like a couple of times, and I had to check them, like and pull them.
Stop them last minute, yeah.
And you get one.
Well, I've seen guys win by.
But they were decent events. Like I know when I went out to that, it was kind of like it had been probably about a long time since I've done any kind of competition, bar like team sports. It's been a long time since I competed in taekwondo, like we discussed about before. I remember just sitting on the edge of the mat going, "This is kind of cool," like, and then seeing your name called out, and then you're on the bracket and stuff like that. The only thing I didn't like was having to make weight in the day.
Yeah,
that was terrible. And that was like I only decided to deal with them like 2 weeks beforehand.
Did you cut weight for that?
When I was 95 kilo 2 weeks beforehand, and I was under 90. I was like,
you competed in the under 90?
Yeah.
So now for mine, when I tried to get to the under 71, I wouldn't say cut weight, but that week I was watching my diet. I had one meal I think the day before, and that morning I had like say a small bowl of oatmeal, and rocked down. I think I came in at 73, but he goes, I think there was the other guy weighed in at maybe 71, and we're like, that's the closest we'll get you. That's how I actually fought the same guy twice, because I was in the teen category at the time. I was only 17, like. But no, they were good events. Like I know shows now are doing them where they're actually clubs or gyms are running them from their gym. Like I know the lads down in Cork are doing the trials. We knew a few lads that went down there a few months ago. It's the same kind of rule set. I think they do have headshots standing up as far as I know, but they're just very limited. There's no ground and pound or something like that, and they're wearing shin guards and stuff. And it's in a cage in front of an audience.
When you made your kind of
amateur debut,
there was no headshots on the ground though at that stage.
No, that was the old amateur rules. Yeah, you're right. We wore actually 4-ounce glove, which is like what they wear now in the pro ranks. They weren't the heavier sparring ones, and there was no shots on the ground. Yeah, and funny enough, that first fight.
Could you feel the difference from your first amateur fight to when you went to your second, which would have been shots on the ground? Would there have been shots on the ground in your second fight? No.
My first two, I have 4 fights amateur. First 2 were no headshots. Second 2 were headshots. And they were only like not that far, maybe 6 months in between each ones. They just had a rule change, so, you know what I mean? And everyone agreed to it. So, no, funny enough though, the way both them fights, my first 2 fights went, I actually had mount very early on in both fights, and I was kind of like, right, I'm mounting this guy now. What am I going to do? I'm going to punch his chest.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, I did punch his chest. Okay. Both of them, like, it's a long time ago now. I remember them though. But it's kind of like I'm limited in what I can do now. I have to start fighting for submission. So like, potentially there are fights that I probably could have got finished early, but this is life.
And how did you feel like the transition between using 4-ounce gloves and then going to 6-ounce? Even though you could round and pound, did you feel much of a difference?
No. There's no real difference. I don't think. If you land a shot with a 4-ounce glove and a 6-ounce glove, right, I think that
doesn't make a whole lot of difference.
That's what I mean. And even, I don't really remember getting hit with them. I took ground and pound now in the last fight with the headshots, but I don't think I took a shot standing up ever with a 4-ounce glove.
Really?
Oh no, I did. No,
like
first fight I did. He did like a double right hook, because I remember from the video. But I remember at the time it was just like sparring.
Yeah.
You know, you get hit, it's like, alright, come on, we're fighting.
Punch to punch kind of thing.
Yeah, but you are a little bit mugged off in the sense that if you get to a good dominant position, like say mount or side control even, and you're like, so what do I do now?
What do I do?
But I was lucky enough that my jiu-jitsu had actually come on a lot. Like my first fight I won by Kimura.
Against the blue belt at the time.
Yeah. And he'd had a few more fights than me as well. But that's the fair Irish matchmaking for you.
Yeah.
No, but the first fight, like, it's a mad experience. Like you were saying, I didn't really have a set gym. I had different coaches and like my mates that were helping me train. You got training with me then at that stage. You would have been coming into Raw a good bit as well. So I was just getting training where I could. I was still...
A little bit more insulated around the waist.
Insulated, yeah. In better shape back then, yeah. Well, I was younger as well, like, you know, the higher metabolism. We'll boil it down for that.
Yeah.
No, it was mad. I enjoyed doing it back then. Like, I've trained in gyms there where you get everything there, but I enjoyed that sense of, you know, being independent and having different men for different things, because in that way, you have MMA coaches now who say no to the game. Oh, that's fine. But I was having specialists in each discipline.
Yeah.
Like, boxing coach was purely boxing. And obviously he knew I was going to compete in MMA. So it wasn't that he was training me up for, say, a boxing fight where my stance is like, even at one stage he was like, right, you can do a few kicks on the body bag.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to say, I don't know if you've ever had someone kick you before, and I've pretty good kicks as well and they're powerful. So I'm not going to start whacking your body bag out with kicks, so I kind of talked him out of it. But yeah, he kind of focused around like an MMA style of boxing. And a lot of it was the same, like you working the pivots and the body shots and getting under shots and stuff like that, which is all relevant, like. You know what I mean? It's not as if I'm going to be throwing 6-punch combinations in MMA.
Yeah.
Or why not, even if you do. But then as well, doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, it was all more no-gi. I didn't really do a lot of gi stuff, which is when you're wearing the suit, for people who are listening who don't know. We didn't start going to the suit till we went down to... I did a little bit in Team Rhino, I think, but I never bought a suit. I still to this day don't own a gi. But it was only when we went down to Rush we started doing that. No, going back to training Raw, you stand up one day, you could be boxing, the next day jiu-jitsu, and then you do your sparring up there as well. Like, it was just a little matted area. You were up there training with me, like, I just kind of ran my own thing. And then I got my old coach, who I was doing Kung Fu with, to get in contact.
Was he like a...
With the
would you say he was like your general then?
No.
The funny or were you trying to get it yourself?
I was doing it all, and he was kind of... I just kind of used him to get the fight.
Yeah.
Because I was going to him maybe once a week doing a Kung Fu class. Like.
Yeah. But he was your contact?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got him to email the promoter, blah, 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 and say, right, this guy... But he didn't even corner me in the fight. Like.
Did you feel like when your first fight came around that you were prepared for it, or that you kind of was maybe a little bit too soon?
No, I think it was bang on.
Yeah.
I think it was a good go. My toe was fucked up at the time. Do you remember I had to get my toe?
Yeah.
The nail was fucking... I had to get that operated on after that. But, no, man, great experience. I remember being so young, because I was only 18 at the time. It's like, watching the UFC, you're kind of... When you get to the event, you see the cage, and then it really hits you. You're like, you're sitting there. There was no one there, because fighters have to get there early and do their medicals and stuff like that, and do the rules meeting. You get there, you see the cage, go into the cage, move around it, and you're like, it's really happening now. It's like, you build it up to in this thing, but it's like, once you're there, it's like, right, it's going to happen now. In 2-3 hours, this place is going to be full with a couple of hundred people, friends and family there, and it's going to be on. You're going to fight in the cage. But the first fight, it was in a mindset of just, I'm doing this, I'm training martial arts years, it's no different.
Yeah.
And from day one I've been like that. I was never really, what's the word I'm looking
anxious,
for
like?
now? I wouldn't say anxious, I would be a bit of an anxious person in general. Like, do you know what I mean? If I'm going to meet a friend or a girl, I'm anxious.
Yeah.
In that, like, and that's...
You're just a conscious person.
But I'm aware of that as well, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. But it was like there was no fear there really. There was a little bit of fear of the unknown. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say. It was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I could be knocked out tonight. I could lose, whatever. But I wasn't afraid of that.
But did you find, like, I found, like, I mean, to go back, like, I was a little bit, I mean, through certain circumstances, a little bit further on, making my Miami debut. But I even remember, though, maybe it was because it was so much further on by the time I made mine, and I had so much experience just in training and in there with James, that I didn't feel nervous, like, really. I felt, like, just kind of, like, different, but I didn't feel nervous. And, like, when I got in there, and into the cage, I was just astounded by, you were saying how quickly it fills up, how quiet everything is. Yeah. Like, when I was even as I came out, walked down the ramp, and just, like, got into the cage and whatever, and I remember thinking after the fight, And I could never. Sometimes I used to watch. Say when you're watching the UFC, say for example Paddy Houlihan today.
Yeah.
When he got into the cage, what was the first thing he did? Like he did a lap around the cage.
Yeah.
To this day, I was one of the biggest regrets of my life not doing it, because I never used to understand why people did that. And then when I got in there, I just felt like I wasn't walking on the cage.
Yeah.
Did you ever get like that? I know. I felt like I was kind of floating a little
It's
bit. And
because
then
of
I was
the
like,
surface.
yeah, this is now my body expressing like the nervous energy.
Yeah.
And then getting in the cage, and then I remember I came out first. And I stand in the cage then, and I could kind of see people, but I kind of couldn't. And then I could kind of see my opponent, but it was kind of fuzzy as well.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, oh, this is kind of cool. And like I looked up, and the lights were really bright, and then his music was playing. And then I remember kind of like bopping a little bit to his music and trying to relax myself. Do you know what I mean?
Doing the Rashad Evans
yeah, and
dance.
and he came into the cage. And then I remember thinking, because I had this, and I don't know, this is to get to a question, I don't know about you, but you know when you're used to watching the UFC, or say Strikeforce when we used to watch it back in the day, or any like kind of major promotion, you used to like the referee coming in, and then say Bruce Buffer coming in, doing the introductions, and he's fighting out, and it's this big build up to get out of the cage. And they're in the cage about 2 or 3 minutes before that goes on.
Yeah.
I was astounded at amateur level how quick it's gone.
They're straight on, yeah.
So I got in there, he walked in, I was like, alright, gonna move about, and then I noticed the
commentator.
MC.
Yeah.
He walked out, locked the door, and then the referee, Pierre Lavery, turned around and he's like, Are you ready? Are you ready? And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, we're gonna go now?
Yeah.
And then once it was on like that, the same kind of issue that I had, wasn't even an issue, but I remember just coming out and being like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I don't know if he hit me or maybe I kind of, because I remember he rushed at me.
Bum rush you.
Kind of bum rushed me, and then I kind of felt like I slipped the shot,
Yeah.
but then I felt like my legs kind of went.
Oh, he buckled your knees.
No, it wasn't even that.
Yeah,
It was just, you know, my body was kind of getting used to my surroundings. It took me about kind of 2 minutes to get comfortable, and then once you're in there and you're comfortable, and those nerves have kind of left,
Yeah.
all I could see was him. Do you know what I mean? And my legs felt solid on my knee or whatever like that. And then the only time I hear that would be if I landed a shot. You hear like a whoa from whoever
and
you're
the crowd,
with.
yeah.
But I couldn't. To me, like it was kind of just baffling how quiet it felt in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And how many people were screaming, and how things were so loud. But
It's just like it zones in. It's a strange feeling, and you can never really explain it unless someone has done it.
I would love to know what goes on in the body for that to happen. Like
It's just being aware.
it's like a mix between adrenaline and anxiety and
Yeah.
you know, nervous tension.
But going back to what you were saying about the nervous thing, like I've had 4 fights, 2 wins, 2 losses. I can honestly say the 2 fights that I won, beforehand it was like I was nervous, but I was like, I don't care if I die in here tonight. That's it. John, we're gonna fight. We see what fucking happens.
Well, I can 100% relate to that.
And the 2 losses, the feeling was like, I want to get this over with, or I want to go in and finish this guy early.
Wow.
Not even in a nervous way. It was more so in a way, kind of that I didn't want to be there.
No, because what I was going to say to you about that was, did you feel like when you lost, or the feeling as a fighter when you're in there is,
Yeah.
I'm doing this, I've got here. The hard part is getting there.
Yeah.
Once you're in there, it's like, this is the fun part. But to everyone else who's watching it, the hard part's what's going on in the cage.
Yeah.
So if I win or lose, I don't really care. What affects me is I feel like I've let people down. Like when I got out of the cage after losing,
Oh, you feel like that?
I walked down the stairs and I remember all the guys were like lined up on the and I remember just looking there and going, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. That's all I could say. I just
Yeah.
kept saying I'm sorry. And I've been there before when you've lost and you've come over and like, I'm sorry. I don't know. And it's just always like, it's not
Slip
for
the jet,
yourself.
slip
It's just
the
like you feel apologetic towards people who come out to you.
Well, people, your friends and family made the effort to come out and support you, like, so you kind of feel like you let them
What I'm
down
trying
as
to
well.
say, it's an interesting mindset in that the person who's in there doesn't really care about what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, because I remember as the fight was finishing, and like I'm there trying to move, and just for like the guy was in full mount, and he was throwing punches down, and I remember thinking, trying to move my head side to side, and trying to remember what Paul, my coach at the time, was like saying book and like shrimp, and like try and get him up and keep moving.
Yeah.
And the shots were hitting me, and I remember that line just went through my head. It was like, I'm just trying to keep moving until I get out potentially, or if I get knocked out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I didn't.
Not very much.
Yeah, no, but it didn't matter to me
Yeah.
what was going on. Whereas to them, it's probably like this state of panic where they're looking at you,
Holy
and it might
shit.
be interesting for someone who's never fought before and have only watched fighters, and they might think that that's how the fighter feels. But it probably isn't. It couldn't be further from that.
Well, I think everyone's different in that aspect, but also I would say it's a very strange feeling being mounted by someone and having them punch you. And only then do you find out if you're really meant for the sport.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was the same. It's funny actually, both the fights went the same. My last fight and your first fight. It was like you're in a position, the other person was in a position of dominance. He's raining down shots. Maybe not the strongest of the shots. They're not knocking you out, obviously. But it's kind of like the ref at amateur level. It's like, well, the fighter's interest is at heart.
Well, can I ask you a quick question though? Like, what's your opinion on that? Like, in the sense that in amateur level in Ireland,
I think they should be stopped a lot earlier, and I would agree with it, because a lot of people shouldn't be in there at amateur.
Well, like, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is that, do you think there's a conflict of interest in the sense that if there's 2 or 3 nothing shots on the ground, the referee will stop it? Where
depends on the ref.
But like, say for example, like, it's just like, say it's non-stop, you are moving, but he's like, no, you're not improving your position. Maybe not getting hit, but you're not improving position, and they're going to stop it.
Yeah.
Where if you're on the feet and you hit guys with like mega shots, have them stunned, you can land haymakers, and the referee won't stop it.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the haymaker did more damage, or the punch on the feet are doing more damage. Why is this being adjudged as the dangerous position? If I'm not getting hit, if I'm moving, if I'm staying active on the ground, okay, I can't remove him from mount. I can't get off, but he's not doing the damage I was doing on the feet.
Yeah.
Yet they're going to stop it. But to me, that's kind of a bit strange.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of that, in the sense where I've been on the feet and been landing good shots, and a guy would say cower up against the cage, and I'm wailing away and kind of actually looking to the ref a little bit, like, what's going on here, because you can see he's stopped. And then I've been on the opposite side on the ground, where a guy has a good position on me. He's not really landing shots, but all his fucking teammates are around the cage going, oh. Yeah. It's like, I'm not hurt, motherfucker. Get in here as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it pisses me off.
Yeah.
And like, that's just the fighter's mindset. But like, I'm at the end and I'm going, I'll literally stay here till he fucking gets tired doing this, because they're not hurting me. But in a sense, it's amateur level. I understand the ref was looking out for me. I wasn't angry after the fight. I was more disappointed that I hadn't fucking worked my technical jiu-jitsu to escape that position. But that was more so down to the coaching and the gym I was training at the time. But again, this is old news, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a shitty position to be in. But no, I agree with the ref stopping it. And I think the ref should look out for the fighters.
Do you think the position is that bad? Like, mount is one of those positions to the naked eye, to the untrained eye, where it's like, oh, that's game over. Where to someone who understands the game, if you're in mount or someone has mounted you, like, as long as you mind your P's and Q's and you're aware and you're careful, I mean, you can avoid the ground and pound. It's not you get mounted, it's game over.
No.
And the referee should be intelligent enough to look at that and go, okay, look, I'm watching these shots, these aren't landing. Or if they are landing, they're cuffing shots, like they're not like flush shots. They're not completely, you know, he's not stunned, he's still like minding what's going on, he's aware, he's not losing consciousness. But they stop it very fast. And I understand that it's amateur and all that kind of stuff, but I think there should be a difference between stopping a fight that's in mount or any position and shots are landing clean, as opposed to shots that aren't.
If you know a guy, like, you can tell by a guy's eyes, that's always the first indicator. If you, like, it's one thing telling him, okay, improve your position, he might be trying to do that. But if he's getting shots on the feet or on the ground and his eyes are kind of starting to go, then it needs to be stopped, because he's going to get knocked out. Where if you're there looking at the ref, like, I remember looking at the ref before he stopped it, and I knew he was going to stop it.
But I
was looking at him going, for fuck's sake, don't stop it. But it was kind of where my hands were. I wasn't really going to move them, because then I'm open to the face. Like, what I was trying to do was say, catch his arm or move. And I remember at the time thinking, for fuck's sake, this is a little shitty position to be caught in. And again, I'm just, for anyone who doesn't know what mount is, it's like if I was lying on my back and you had like both legs over me, so you're kind of like, say, it'd be like sitting on my chest. Yeah, that's what mount position is. So I was like, this guy was in mount. It's like, yeah, it's a good position. And I wouldn't mind, there was only, I think...
It's arguably the most dominant position anyway.
Oh, it would be, yeah. When there's punches involved, it definitely is. I was like, there was only 15 seconds left. I knew as well that the round was kind of coming to an end, so I was like, I just want to see this through, but this is it. Yeah. This is life.
It's tough.
But, no, it's...
And it's crazy that you would even speak like that, and it could be interesting for people who haven't maybe competed or wouldn't have would be fans of the sport, but to get like an insight into someone like yourself's mindset, in that, like, that's a position where 9 out of 10 people in the world would, like, that's the worst case scenario in a street fighting self-defense situation. Like, if they were end up in that position, that's scary. That's time where you cover up and close your eyes and hope that someone saves you. Where you're there in a position in front of hundreds of people, and all you can think of is, don't fucking stop the fight, just let me keep fighting. You know, it's crazy how you can develop that mindset at such a young age, you know, just through a base of martial arts, come into mixed martial arts and train.
I think it's a little bit down to the personality as well. You can't always train that into someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, they say you can't teach heart. It's not even necessarily heart, I think. It was like, the shots aren't hurting me, so I don't want it to be stopped. Because I know I can beat this guy, and it's just... And funny enough, how we even got into that position was, I threw a kick, he kind of caught the end of it, and whatever way the canvas was, my leg kind of gave out. And then he took the back, and I was fighting off that. Then I kind of came back and tried to get a Kimura, which is a shoulder lock, and then we kind of scrambled the ears. Actually, he did a good move, then he kind of stepped over and straightened the mount. And then you just... Once they get mount, you're like, fuck! Yeah.
It's the worst as well, and I remember, like, when... I don't know, it was the second round in my fight, and we were both... Well, I remember being...
You were sucking wind,
I was just tired, and I remember thinking, right, I'm just going to throw heat. And I remember coming out to the start of the second round, I couldn't pick my hands up from the lactic acid. Like, they're at my hips. And
it would have been adrenaline as well.
I physically couldn't pick them up.
Yeah.
Shook them off after a little bit. I picked them up. Started moving around again. Landed some nice shots on the feet. But then, this guy was just dogging for takedowns. And when he got me against the fence, I remember just feeling, and this was probably a tribute to my bad nutrition at the time and the way my body was built. Because I remember thinking there was a position he was in. I'm normally takedown defense is very strong against the fence, and he was in on my hips, and I remember just kind of like digging and under, and normally just like gable grip and turn him over. And I remember giving like that squeeze, and there was just nothing there. I remember feeling like shit. And when I did that, when I gave that squeeze, nothing there, it'd be like playing like Mortal Kombat, and like my
health bar went down,
half down. I was like, shit, something's up here, and then he just grabbed my legs, pulled me down. I went for I went to try. I think I just went for half guard straight away. Just like sometimes you're like, if you fight for full guard, you're like you can kind of give a position. So sometimes you can be almost better just like taking half guard and kind of work from there. So I tried that, but he passed like right through. He kind of did like a little knee slice right through, straight into the mount. It was lovely. And he started like raining punch down. I remember at this stage I was still I had got a little bit of breath back. So like a second wind, probably at that stage like a fifth wind. And I threw my legs up. Do you know like kind of like Paddy was trying to do? At the end of the fight there, when I threw my legs over and I pulled them down. And I have gone for that. The gas thing was, I don't know if I've ever said it. I mean, that escape from mount, anytime I've ever been mounted, I've always tried that. Just like when you go there.
Fuck it.
Swear to God, no matter, in entire time of training, I've only landed that once and that was in the fight. Yeah, mental. I threw my legs up, pulled them down, and I could have stood up in the position that I was in.
The body wouldn't do it.
No, not even that. I remember thinking, I'm so tired this side, like, I'm going to go, like, I stand up or his foot, like, the way I had landed, like, I kind of thrown my foot up, pulled him down, and his foot was, like, resting across my hip. And I went for like a straight foot lock because they're allowed obviously in arm straight. I remember when I sat back on it, I did like the mistake that Ken Shamrock made against Hoist Gracie. Do you know when you sit back on a foot lock but you don't wrap your leg over?
Oh yeah.
So he just sat straight down.
He stepped right through.
So I sat back on the foot lock, dropped back on. I'm gonna crank this leg.
You went for a foot lock?
Yeah, I went to drop a foot lock. I didn't throw my leg over, and he just sat in the mount. And then as he sat in the mount, I was in like a position
holding his foot.
Yeah. So I took my hands up, but by the time he started throwing punches, Jeffrey already stopped it. So. Funny position to be in. But like, I mean, as well, it's a good position to be in because like, no matter, and we've talked about this before about how martial arts can influence your life, but if you walk into work or college and someone's giving you a bad time, to me now, like I've been in a position where I'm gassed, can't move, and there's a guy who's got more energy than I have sitting on my chest punching my face.
Donkey Kong.
With 300 people watching. So if I don't feel comfortable there, some dickhead in a suit and tie isn't going to be like making me feel uncomfortable.
Well, that's true.
So it kind of gives you experience for life.
And not only that, you can fight, you can go 10-0, you can knock your first 10 opponents out, you can look amazing. Oh my god, this guy's the next Conor McGregor, it's the next John Jones. But then they're put in that position, and he's tapping the mat after 2 shots to the head. There you go. You really know yourself when you've been in really bad positions, submissions or whatever, blah blah blah, guys said they'd never tap. It's only when you know that, when you're really tired, when you're put in that position, you find out who you are as a man. And who you are as a person. And I tell you that, and there's no other experience, and you can say, oh, lads puffing their chest out thinking they're hard. Go put yourself in that position and then come back to them.
And I think it's something everyone should try. Like,
I don't know necessarily
not about
fighting,
into the cage, but I mean, in some form of combat, like to dedicate, if you can go, alright, just to see, for myself, I'm going to join the martial arts school, I'm going to join the MMA school, I'm going to join the jiu-jitsu gym.
Well, we were saying it
and
before.
I'm going to train to compete. I'm going to try a competition, I might only try it once, and I'm going to go back and see how I felt, and you can learn so much from it, you can take so much from it.
We spoke about this on a previous podcast about like the whole lifestyle associated with martial arts. It's not just about fighting or learning how to protect yourself or even being fit. It's about finding out who you are as a person. Really getting in touch with the inner you. Because nowadays, not a lot of people do that.
Well, you gain your identity, don't you?
People are looking for themselves through different avenues, through drugs, through alcohol, going out with the weekends, friends, who are you hanging out with? It's all this bullshit. You want to find out who you are as a person. You want to be happy with yourself. Then you want to surround yourself with very positive people.
And go from there.
And I'm telling you, you will lead a happy life. You cannot be negative.
What about those losses? You going to get them back?
I'll get the losses back. I'll get the losses back. That's what I was saying. I hope Paul still does the Rumble Rush because I'd love to get on again. I'm not training much anymore, obviously, but I always wanted to fight there once more because they always have a great little crowd.
I'm sure, very good.
But no, man, I'm not done. I'm too young to retire. You know what I mean? Maybe people think I'm done because I've been inactive or whatever for so many years, but
put them slippers away.
Big Red hasn't hung up the gloves yet. You know what I mean? Them gloves you see on the symbol of the podcast, they're mine. They'll be coming back soon. But no, man, it's good to go back on all fights and stuff like that. And it's even like several years later now, looking back on them, you can only realise then what you've learned from it, learn from your losses, learn from the whole experience. And it's like the next time, like even now when I train or I
still think about them?
Not really.
No.
But what I was saying is now when I train and I spar, like when I found I sparred there MMA for, it would have been, I would go and say it was probably the first time I did full MMA sparring in the best part of 2 years maybe.
Yeah.
Like I've done boxing and whatever, I've rolled.
Moved around a little bit.
But I mean full, everything involved. And I was landing shots and well I shouldn't be landing them because I'm not really sharp. But I think it was down to me being calm. Really calm, I was real relaxed.
You've got experience through life.
I've gotten past the stage of being on edge sparring. I'm really relaxed now. I'm trying to, you know what,
Express
flow.
yourself.
Exactly. So, and I think that will be shown in the next fight as well.
In the future.
Yeah. Stoppage. Put the money by the docket.
Yeah, so on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks very much for following the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Check us out on Twitter. Have a look at our YouTube page.
We're going to try to keep this shit regular anyway.
Yeah.
Weekly episodes.
Consistency is the key.
It definitely is.
Yeah, so thanks for all the support. It's been great.
It's been emotional, brother.
Cheers. Thank you.